Today I experienced some deja vu. Hello and welcome to Rutted Review of the Day, and today I am taking a look at the 2019 movie Haunt. This is a great example of never judge a book by its cover. I mean, in this day and age of Pennywise making the big bucks, clown horror movies are everywhere attempting to kind of cash in on it. And I did wind up with a situation of deja vu. I saw the poster art of this film and I thought, okay, it's another clown. Yay, clown. And I just, not too awful long ago, reviewed a horror movie about a haunted house, carnival kind of situation that is run by evil clown. It's called Clown, and it was terrible. So when I saw Haunt pop up on my feed, and I saw that it showed up as a Shudder exclusive, do I really want to watch another clown movie about a haunted house? Okay, here we go. And I did. And here's the thing. I was very pleasantly surprised. This is a good example of why you taking other films into account might cloud your vision in terms of your selection of films, but once you get past that point and the play button has been pressed, objectivity is key. So this is a movie that managed to surprise me at almost every turn, all the way up to the end, and that's something that I can very rarely say. And because of that, I actually enjoyed it a whole lot. I'm going to go ahead and throw up all the scores here. As always, 4 different categories, each one worth up to 25 points, for a total possible score of 100 points. And with the plot of this one, we follow the characters of Harper, Nathan, Bailey, Evan, Angela, and Mallory. They are 6 college students that are going out and having a good time on or about Halloween. Going to clubs, going partying, and so forth. Harper is the only one that is kind of going through some stuff on the back end that is preventing her from having such a good time. But her friends are, like, come on, you got to get out of your head. You got to have some good times. And when the situation pops up where they receive a flyer for kind of a backwoods extreme haunted house, they really can't resist the call. So they do. They go on the back roads and they manage to find the place and are met with the clown. And the clown gets them to sign a waiver, turn over their cell phones, put them in a lockbox. You'll get the key, or here's the key, you'll get your phones at the end, things like that. And as they go through, obviously, because this is a horror movie, things aren't what they seem, and things go terribly wrong. The thing that there's a lot about this movie that I love, and I'll get into it, but one of the things on a plot level that I really loved about this movie is that this really keeps the door open on what's going on. You know that bad things are about to happen, but it takes a while to get there, and even when it gets there, the mystery behind the horror, you're formulating in your mind, well, what's actually happening here? Is this just a couple of backwoods hicks that are wanting to slaughter some kids? Is this a situation where the haunted house was built on Indian burial ground, and now, amidst perfectly innocent businessmen running a haunted house, things are going hauntedly wrong, things like that. But you're trying to formulate the what is going on, what is happening. And as soon as things start going wrong, they happen in a way that kind of solidify some particular theories. But the great thing about this movie is, although you may theorize what is actually happening here, and you may be about 90% certain, it keeps that last 10%, just the door is just cracked open enough, and it wedges its foot in there to prevent it from closing and fully figuring things out. Even when things are really presented with enough evidence, this knows that last 10% is open. It knows that the audience is still trying to figure out, solidly, with, beyond the shadow of a doubt, what's going on. And it highlights that 10%. It really takes that 10% of doubt and really shines a light on it and hammers at it so that it keeps the tension going. It keeps the mystery going. And from another plot level, and it actually kind of bleeds into the technical level here, when the last 10% closes and you are now firmly aware of what's going on, the antagonistic measures of this film, or the antagonistic characters of this film, I'm trying to leave it as vague as possible because, honestly, the reveals of this movie are one of the things that makes it really great. But once you're certain what's going on and it has presented you with beyond a shadow of a doubt evidence, the antagonist reveals are done in a way that really surprised me. I was expecting something a lot less in terms of character design, in terms of, well, honestly, once I had the 100% figured out and beyond the shadow of a doubt and so forth, I was feeling a little bit, let's just say deflated as far as what can they possibly do as far as the why. Now we have the what can they do about the why that would be satisfactory? And it turns out they did quite a bit that really, really surprised me in a very pleasant way. I was flabbergasted at some of the makeup effects and some of the technical elements that they brought to the table to take something that they could have phoned in very easily, and anybody would have never blamed them for it. This is kind of a low-key production that, you know, they don't have to go that extra mile, but you know what? They did. They did, and it worked. So, all told, I really, really enjoyed this movie. The acting was done well, and another thing about the technical that I really enjoyed, first of all, yes, this was kind of a low-key production, but it felt very professional, very polished, the way the camera work moved, the way the lighting worked. But one thing in particular that I really, really want to point out, because it deserves special mention, is something that I railed on with the previous movie that I mentioned, Clown, is the geographical distinctiveness. And that's really important because once you have characters that are going through this funhouse kind of maze situation, geographical distinctiveness is critical. Every area that they were in had distinctive geographical traits to it, aesthetic traits to it. They had the surgical room, and they had the room with the 3 coffins, and they had the room with the tunnel, and they had the maze. And each one of them had distinctive aesthetic styles to them so that as the characters were walking through, and even as they were separating and going to different areas, and even when they were backtracking and going into previous areas that you had already experienced, you always had a sense of knowing where the characters were in relation to each other. And that's so important because otherwise you just feel like you're a bit lost, and if it just continues on that way, then you just mentally check out. Well, they could be anywhere from anywhere, and what does it even matter anymore? And honestly, it really wouldn't at that point, because the director could just make things pop out of wherever, because it could happen wherever. But by having geographical distinctiveness, you knew where they were in relation to each other, where they were in relation to the entrance of the funhouse, where they were in relation to when that trap happened, things like that. So that's really important, and that's one thing this movie really delivered well. And one of the things that really sold it and brought the location itself, the haunted house, the carnival ride, it brought it really upwards as a character unto itself, and that was a major, major element that made this movie work. So all told, I was really impressed by Haunt. I didn't expect to be, but I was, and like I said, all the way through the end, because even the ending, the very ending, I did not see coming, and I really loved it. So would I recommend the Shudder exclusive Haunt? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's a great movie that is absolutely worth watching. It's not an epic for the ages. None of the scores got above 20, which for me, kind of 21 through 25 is, getting into the, Exorcist, so on, area of absolutely epic and will stand the test of the, ages and the decades. This didn't reach that level, but for what it was remarkably enjoyable and extraordinarily well done. So yes, I would absolutely recommend Haunt. This is a great Halloween movie, a great haunted house movie, a great clown movie, sure, but it is a great movie, and that should about wrap this one up. That's my review of 2019's Haunt. I really thank you for joining me here today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. If you like this video, please click like and subscribe, and if you want to support me further, my Patreon and my merchandise storefront links are below. Remember, next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and rotted.